So one of the topics that comes up frequently among our clients is long-term care and end-of-life planning. Obviously very important topics. Unsurprisingly, occasionally these topics don't get discussed to the depth and breadth that most people would need them to in order to have a smooth and efficient estate plan. I think most people are familiar with the concept of long-term care planning, but there's really a little more to it. So if you think of late life, end of life planning, there's a number of things that go into that that are very important. Not the least of which is establishing what your wishes are and planning for those wishes, whether it be to try to stay in your home as long as possible, to have long-term care costs covered, whether you stay at home or you end up needing a facility. Where do you want to be location-wise? Who do you want to be caregivers, and people with perhaps power of attorney or the ability to make decisions on your behalf. Those are all very important topics, and you kind of have to methodically go through each one to make sure that you've covered and established what your wishes are, and at least begin to build a game plan for how you're going to accomplish those goals. There's a few things actually. Power of attorney is a big part of it. That's a legal document that establishes who can make decisions for you on your behalf. There's a medical version of this, which obviously handles the healthcare side. And there's a financial version of this as well, which would deal with your finances, whether they be bank accounts and investment accounts. That's important if you find yourself in a position where you're not quite capable of making decisions. You have trusted people who will make those decisions on your behalf, who are required by law to act in your best interests. The medical directive itself is very specific in that it's basically saying, you're giving instructions for the medical professionals who work with you to tell them how they should handle certain situations. Another important piece is funeral arrangements. This is often overlooked. It doesn't necessarily seem like a big deal, but I can tell you from experience that if you not only make your wishes known, but you also plan for those things, it can take a lot of the guesswork away from your loved ones in making those final arrangements for you. Simple things such as, how many days you would want the viewing to be, where you want the service, what facility you want to use, whether or not you want to be cremated. Those things are all very important, and they're not terribly difficult to plan out. Most people don't love doing that for obvious reasons, but doing so not only assures that your wishes will be followed, but really helps your family and your loved ones with those final decisions and final arrangements for you. Right, we all have the aunt or uncle or grandparent that says, yeah, just, send me out to the pasture or whatever. But it's not quite so simple. And to be honest, if you establish the things that you would or would not want done in certain medical situations, it takes an enormous amount of pressure off of your loved ones and the people who make decisions on your behalf. Specific long-term care planning also makes a huge difference. So if you think about where you want to be, and it's very important to be practical about that, you would be able to plan. Now, insurance can play a role in this. We've all heard of long-term care insurance. That can be very helpful in covering or defraying some of the costs of that care. But I think it's very important as well to be practical about where you would want to be or could be, who would be around to help you, and whether you would or wouldn't want or in fact might need facility care and how you would cover those costs. So there's a number of factors that go into that, financial being part of that, location versus other family members being part of that as well. So those things are super important to think about and put a lot of consideration into and begin to move on as you make plans going forward.